Okay, the inaugural test opening of cheaprc reviews. This is the gantry 4x4 ready to run. It's 1/16 scale, and I purchased it from Amazon. I haven't opened this up yet, just got it from Amazon, so let's go ahead and crack it open. All right, packaged up nicely. Let's pull this out. Take off the cardboard. So here's the car. So just kind of going through first impressions of the car. I like the body, it looks really nice. There's a few rust spots on the Lexan, but otherwise this car was, because it's being reviewed on cheaprc, I think you know how much this car costs. Well, you will know because I'll tell you. Body clips look good. I like the tires. They definitely are just soft and squishy, but you know, they look like quality. Overall, this is a really nice looking car. The body is in great shape. It's Lexan is what it feels like, nice and light. So let's keep going. So car. Next up is the controller. That's the cardboard out of here. So here's the controller. This is a pretty basic controller, but it's what I would expect. And you know, one day I'll do a video on what I expect in terms of, you know, here's what to look for in a cheaprc and what type of controller to get. So I'll just do a quick view here. We've got our on-off switch. We've got throttle reversing for steering. And then we've got a speed trim and a steering trim. And it's your typical pistol grip controller, which is great. Looks like 3 double A's, which we'll get into. So controller, set. Car, set. Next thing up is all the kind of special stuff. So we've got our lithium-ion battery, 7.4 volts. It is 1300 mAh. And what I'm noticing right off the bat here is that we got Dean's, or the T-plug style, and a bounce plug. So the Dean's is nice because that's pretty common. It actually is more of a hobby plug, or it used to be more of the hobby plug that you would expect. Packaged with the instructions and decal sheet. So we've got USB charger, whole bunch of body clips, extra ones, looks like 4 extra body clips, and some shock spacers, little screwdriver, decals, stickers, and instructions. I like that the instructions is actually separate than from the actual sticker sheet, which is nice. It uses the same instruction booklet for both sets of cars. It's pretty typical on Amazon. One listing will have 2 different types. So first impressions, I like this car a lot. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to drive. It looks pretty durable, but these are just the first impressions just from that quick 3.5 minute preview. Okay, quick note here. I grabbed some pictures. This body is actually covered with a protective film. You want to make sure to pull that all the way off and before you put on the stickers. Now, it's a nice thing to have, and it's definitely was unexpected. However, go really slow, as getting it around some of these bits like the roll cage and the grill is challenging. Okay, I'm back. I put the decals on the car, and I gotta tell you, this body really looks great. Very impressed. The decals actually line up pretty nice. They're nothing too crazy. A lot of times with some of these lower end models, you get just a crazy amount of decals with all sorts of weird graphics on them, and you just don't see that here. This looks pretty classy. This would look nice, you know, on a shelf or on a desk just hanging out. I do have a little bit of this film here. You can see it didn't quite come off very well. I wish it would have, but at the same time, the model looks great. So I want to dive into a little bit more, take off the body here, talk about some things I like and some things I don't like. So first off, I don't like how this body is set up with these plugs. And the reason why is the plugs are in the front, and your natural inclination when you get a body and you say, okay, I want to, you know, change the battery, you lift up. And you lift up and your first thing is you're going to start tugging on this. So especially if you have kids, this is going to be problematic. You need to essentially remember to always flip it over and sorry, this is, there we go. Flip it over and approach it from that side. Some of the things I do like though, is I like the fact that if we look down here and look right there, there is a servo saver. That is something I don't see a lot of in some of these lower end RCs. What that means is that when your wheels get hit, and you will hit your wheels on something, it doesn't immediately transfer all the energy right back to your servo, which could be game over. It will actually try to absorb some of that energy right there. So that's a neat feature, something you don't see a whole bunch of. I also like the fact that there is a heat sink here. The heat sink is very nice to have, especially with these lower end motors. They can get hot. You're dumping a lot of energy. People don't realize that these lithium polymers dump out a lot of energy, a lot of amperage, and things can get really hot. If we look right in here, this is a 4-wheel drive car and it's steel shaft, which is pretty much standard, but still nice to see. I do like the red detail. That's nice. To follow up on the whole, LED thing, this is nice. Being able to actually have these plugs here, fantastic. Be able to unplug it, do more maintenance and such. One other thing I'm noticing on here is if you just took a general look at things, the screws are all one type. So they're all appear to be Phillips head. They all appear to be Phillips, a standard size or within 1 or 2 sizes. I've bought micro RCs before where there are a dozen different sizes of screws, different types of drives, and it is super annoying. So I'm going to show off some of the features now of the car itself. So transition time. Okay, so I have the battery hooked up, and this is a brand new battery. This model does come with 2, which is great. These batteries should last you quite some time. So having 2 is a lot of fun. It really gives the kids, especially for kids, it gives them a lot of opportunity to play. The thing you need to remember is that these chargers will take a couple hours to charge. One of the biggest things you can do if you start to get into radio controlled cars, if you start to get into radio controlled anything with batteries, invest in a little bit nicer of a charger. And that's where that Dean's plug, the T plug, comes into play. This is a standard plug, so just about any sort of charger you would be able to plug into if you get a higher end one. But even a basic balance charger will definitely improve your experience. So I've got the battery plugged in, and now we're gonna look for the on-off switch. I'm not a huge fan of where this on-off switch is. And the reason being is because it's behind the wires. And so if we were to put the body on, it means that you're lifting up the body to try to get at the on-off switch. And that's not a super awesome experience. Some of these cars will actually have the on-off switch right on the outside of the body, which works out fantastic. But I'm gonna put the camera down, turn all my equipment on, and come back. We'll take it for a drive. All right, so radio's on, the car's on. Always, please. This might be an old school thing, but turn the radio on first and then turn your car on. It's just kind of an old school way of making sure that you can get a good connection. So one small detail that I want to point out here is these body clips are bent. If you've got big kind of nubbly fingers like I do, this makes it nice and easy to get your body clips on and off. I actually have some body clips here. These are your normal body clips for a full-size car, a 1/10 car. And notice that they're flat. I actually bought these with these little grips because my fingers can't get underneath. Usually they sit flush with the body. So that's pretty sweet. Let's talk a little bit about the radio. So it's 2.4 gigahertz, which is standard now. And as I mentioned, we've got steering reversal, the trim for throttle and steering and throttle. One thing interesting is to look right on here. Here, you can control the LEDs from your controller. That is really unique. I have not seen that before. So that's kind of neat. It's kind of fun to play with. Look forward to taking this out at night. So let's take a look. So we got steering. Yep. Steering trim. So if you're not familiar with it, trim is the ability to set your wheels at an angle without having to turn your wheels, or without having to steer. You can change this. So this is handy if you start accelerating and you notice your car's pulling this way. You could adjust your wheels accordingly. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this part, but let's throttle it up. Actually, something really cool I wanted to show you is this inside the instruction manual. This is so insane. I have not seen this in a budget car in a long time. You get exploded parts view with part numbers. So typically I'd say something like, at the sub $50 price point, you might not have good luck actually repairing anything or even getting replacement parts. I haven't looked for the replacement parts, but I definitely think repairing things would be a whole lot easier if you had something like the assembly view, especially, steering. Steering is something you end up breaking a lot of. It's that part right there. And having that exploded diagram makes things a lot easier to fix when the time comes. So I'm going to go ahead and try to figure out how I'm going to take some video of it running, but let's go from there. All right, so I'm going to take some video of this car in action. I just did a little bit of a tryout drive and adjusted the steering, and I gotta say I'm really impressed with how fast this is. It definitely is really springy, but that's to be expected with just spring shocks. But let's go ahead and get some action shots. This thing goes pretty good in grass. This is definitely at a disadvantage because it's from a standstill. Doesn't have enough momentum to push over the blades, but let's give it a shot. You can hear it struggle. I mean, who doesn't love donuts? Come on. Okay, so gave this thing a thorough bashing around, got, easily 7-8 minutes of runtime out of it, which isn't bad for this type of vehicle. Had a lot of fun. The only time I got stuck was in some tall grass that was up actually beyond its tires, so kind of crazy. Would I recommend this vehicle? Yeah, absolutely. I was able to get it on sale. This is May of 2024 for $29. And normal price is around 50. I think even at 50, it is a fair price considering you get two batteries, the 2.4 gigahertz radio, you get the LED lights, and overall it seems to be a pretty tough vehicle. So I would definitely recommend this one, and we'll see about putting an Amazon link somewhere or whatever. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.